Hi, I'm Dylan Prosen, and this is my peak experience speech. Everyone has experienced love at one point or another, and I'm going to take you on my experience of love. This is going to be the experience of me dating and finally proposing to my current fiance, Nicole. In order to take you on my peak experience with me, I'm going to have to give some background so that you know how we actually got together. Then I'm going to tell you about the actual proposal, and then I'm going to tell you what has changed for us immediately following that. First is how we met. In order to talk about that, I have my best friend who's named Aaron, who's currently dating his girlfriend Hazel. And basically, we met because of Hazel. Hazel had texted me one day and said that there's someone that she thought that I would like to meet. And they were basically best friends at that point. So me and Nicole, which was the best friend with Hazel, met up for movies and dinner afterwards, and that was our first date. We had a great time. Overall, it's memorable for us, but there's nothing that really was life changing in that date. Our favorite date was the date that immediately followed that, and that was kind of one of the dates that really signaled to me, at least, that we were going to be going for a good distance in the relationship. For context, at that point, I lived about 3 hours away in the cities in Minnesota, whereas she lived in Superior, Wisconsin. For that early date, we decided to go out skating. And we decided to go to an open skate that was right by her. She knew that I loved hockey. I knew that, well, she at least wanted to go skating with me. So we went out to an open skate at the Westman Arena right by her. And she had never skated before. So it was kind of a new experience for her, and I had never really tried to teach someone how to skate. I'd played hockey all my life, but this was a little bit new. But she picked it up really quickly. It was a really good date. It was intimate because she had to basically hold on to my hands in order to stay upright at first. She picked up skating early right away, and it's just a really memorable date because we also got to know each other really well throughout it. On top of that, and we didn't know this at the time, but there was also a photographer for one of the local papers there. So we also got some basically free professional photos of it that we now have hanging up in our bedroom. After that date, we're kind of in between time. We have lots of great experiences during that. We went on a trip to Washington. I moved in with her at one point during it. But overall, from that date to the proposal was about 2.5 years. And from I moved in with her, there's about a year and a half that I lived with her before I proposed. For the actual proposal, I wanted to try and surprise her with it. We had talked about it, and we both agreed that we wanted to get married and that we were both ready to be engaged, but we hadn't I hadn't told her the exact date that I was going to propose to her. So I wanted to try and keep it a secret. This is actually pretty difficult because she's on a very busy schedule. She coaches softball as well as being a full-time student, so there wasn't a lot of weekend times available, but I knew that as soon as I decided I was ready to propose, I wanted to go back to the arena and I wanted to propose to her when we were out skating, because that's pretty much one of our most memorable experiences together. I was able to get the arena rented out as opposed to doing an open skate, so then it was a lot more private. And we did it just a few weeks ago on a Saturday. We went out to the arena. She kind of had to relearn how to skate a little bit because she hadn't skated for 2.5 years, and that was her first time. We played some nice romantic music over the arena speaker system, and after skating around for about half an hour, we skated out to center ice together, and that's where I actually went ahead and proposed. I was really nervous during it, and it was kind of an interesting experience for me because I hadn't been nervous around her for probably a year and a half at that point. We had kind of done all of our firsts, And this was basically between this and the wedding is the only other times I can really see myself being nervous around her again. So I was nervous, but it didn't stop me. I was able to go ahead and do it, and she did, of course, since I'm telling you this story, say yes. I was successful in keeping it a secret. She had no idea that it was coming, which was great for me. And she was very surprised, which kind of, for me at least, put a nice little bow on top of the proposal. Afterwards, following it, it did bring us closer. Of course, we're now engaged, so that's kind of a given that that's going to happen. And we've kind of dove in head first into wedding planning at this point. It's been a little stressful. It's been very busy though, and overall, just my entire relationship with Nicole has been a very positive effect on my life. And really, it just it feels right. I think that anyone who has been lucky enough to go through the steps of dating and proposing, and I imagine at least it's going to continue through to the wedding, knows that part of knowing when you're at that stage with someone isn't just steps you have to check off a list, but it's that it feels right, you feel ready, and it does just come down to how you feel. So now you know the story of how Nicole and I became engaged and kind of the steps that we took to get to that point. We talked about how we met, we talked about the early dates, and then kind of the general in-between time that doesn't necessarily have as much bearing on the proposal, as well as the actual proposal and how we've been immediately following it. If you're like me, if you were like me, you might have been at a point where maybe you haven't met someone yet, maybe you don't necessarily think you're getting to the point that there maybe isn't someone out there for you. If you're watching this, know there is someone out there for you. You will find that person, and sometimes it just takes a little bit of chance, having a friend that knows someone, just bumping into them in order to find the perfect person for you. Thanks for watching.